Hello everyone and welcome again to Damascene Cuisine. Today we're going to be making atayef, which doesn't really have a meaning in English that I'm aware of, but it's essentially a stuffed pancake shaped kind of like an empanada. And we stuff it with a few different ingredients. Today I'm going to show you how to do it with stuffed walnuts, which is my personal favorite. We make this dish, or this dessert really, throughout Ramadan and also during Eid, which is the celebration we have at the end of our month of fasting. Let's get started. Alright, so to start, here are our ingredients. We have 2 cups of flour, half a cup of semolina, or smeed in Arabic, 3 cups of water at room temperature. I've already put 2 cups in my mixing bowl, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You can use vanilla extract or vanilla powder, 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and 1 tablespoon of activated yeast. Alright, the next step is super simple. We're literally just going to mix everything together. I have 2 cups of water already in my mixing bowl. I'm going to add my 2 cups of flour, my quarter cup of semolina, my tablespoon of baking powder and quarter teaspoon of baking soda, my sugar and yeast, and lastly, my vanilla. And now we blend. I'm going to add my remaining cup of water and continue blending. Alright, so it's going to look frothy like this, which is perfect. Everything is evenly blended and smooth. And now we just wait for about 30 minutes to let the yeast do its work. So while we wait for our batter to be ready, we're going to make our walnut stuffing. For this, you're going to need a 1.5 cups of finely chopped walnuts. Just go ahead and run some whole walnuts or half walnuts or walnut pieces, whatever, through the blender for a few seconds until you get them finely chopped. We need a 1/2 cup of coconut powder. I always struggle to find coconut powder, so I just get coconut flakes and blend them. Here I have sweetened coconut flakes, so because it's sweetened, I'm only going to use 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. But if you have unsweetened, go ahead and use 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. And then 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of orange blossom water. So we literally just put them all in the bowl and mix them. And I'll save the orange blossom till the end, so let me just mix these first. And now the orange blossom water. Alright, so the next step is going to be to make our little pancakes. So here I have my batter. After it rested for 30 minutes, I gave it a quick blend, just a few seconds, and I waited for the bubbles on the surface to die down. And I have a pan, actually 2 pans I want off the screen because it takes too long to do these just one at a time. So anyway, I have a medium-sized pan on heat that's just slightly above medium. And for the smaller pan, just because it's smaller, I actually have that set to just slightly below medium. And also I'm going to use a 1/4 cup measuring cup to measure out my pancake sizes so they're all the same size. Alright, so basically I'm just going to take a little 1/4 cup full of batter and just put it in the center of my pan so it should stay in a circle, a smooth circle. If it wrinkles a little bit on the edges, it probably means your pan's a little too hot. Alright, and we wait for it to dry. We don't flip over our pancakes. The top part is going to bubble up like this. And basically when we know it's time to take it off the stove is when all the batter on the surface dries and all the bubbles that formed have popped. So it takes about 2 minutes-ish, slightly less maybe, to get to this point. Really just depends on your stove. But as you can see, all the bubbles have popped and the surface is dry. And now I take it off the pan, and the back should be this nice golden color. So I've set it aside on a plate I have waiting on my countertop. And just to give you guys an idea of how to know how to tweak your stove, because it is going to take a little bit of tweaking for you to figure out exactly what setting you want your heat to be at. So I want to show you guys that if it's a little too pale on the back, that means your pan is a little too low on heat. But wait until 2 come out like this on the back before you do that, because sometimes it's just a matter of your pan needing to heat up a little more before you're ready to use it. And if the back looks like this, that means your pan is a little too hot, so you want to bring that heat down just a little. And let's go again. Alright, so important little info about how these are stacked. You actually want to stack them 2 at a time like this. So the face of one on top of the face of the other. And then you put the next one like this, with the back of it to the back of the one behind it. And this is important so that they don't stick together. You always want to make sure that they've cooled slightly before you put them face to face like that. And you just kind of lay them like that. The next step is to stuff our pancakes. Basically, you just take a spoonful of the stuffing, like that, and pinch it closed. Just like that. See, like I said, little empanadas. Traditionally, we deep fry these, but my mom has always done this healthier alternative of baking them, so I'm putting them aside on a baking sheet. Okay, once you've finished making your little pancakes, the next step is going to be to grease them up before putting them in the oven. So a couple of options. You can either take a brush and brush some either melted butter or vegetable oil on either side. Or a simpler way, and this is the way I'm going to be doing, is just take a stick of butter and slice about the same amount of butter that you would use to butter up some toast. Place it on top of each of your little empanadas. Alright, and I've had my oven preheating at 350 degrees. So as soon as it's ready, I'm going to pop in my tray. I'm going to time about 15 minutes until the outsides are slightly crispy. So while we wait for the atayef to bake, we're going to make simple syrup, and this is going to be used to pour on top of the atayef. So to make simple syrup, you need 1 cup of sugar, a half cup of water, and you turn your stove on to medium heat. You're going to stir it occasionally until it boils. Once it starts to boil, you're going to add a squeeze of lemon juice. And this is just to keep it from developing a layer of crystallized sugar on the surface. And then just like a teaspoon of orange blossom water. And now we stir and let it continue to boil until it begins to thicken, which will take a few minutes. Alright, so my syrup has been boiling continuously for about 5 minutes. And it's not thickened quite yet because it doesn't thicken to syrup until it cools, but you can tell that it's slightly thicker than it was because of the way it drips. It doesn't quite look as watery, or it doesn't drip quite like water does. So that's how you know it's ready to be taken off the stove, and we just let it cool until it thickens. Once both your syrup and atayef have cooled, you're ready to put them on a plate and enjoy. Syrup drizzle.